الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فالإمام ابن عثيمين says in the متن القاعدة الخامسة, the fifth قاعدة, أسماء الله تعالى توقيفية لا مجال للعقل فيها. The names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are tawqifiyah. Tawqifiyah meaning what? Meaning that is based on evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah, from nowhere else. لا مجال للعقل فيها. There is no space, no room for reason or intellectuality and so on in it. وعلى هذا يعني there is لا مجال, there is no room for your brain in the names of Allah Azza wa Jal. You cannot make up a name for Allah. أيوة. The names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are what? توقيفي. You take them from the Quran and the Sunnah. That's it. طيب. وعلى هذا, and upon this, فيجب الوقوف فيها على ما جاء به الكتاب والسنة. So upon this, it must be taken from the Quran and the Sunnah. So you do not add to them or subtract from them. Because al-aql, your brain, your intellect, cannot comprehend or realize what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves from names. Therefore, it is mandatory to stop where the nusus, to stop upon the nusus in that. Meaning, nusus meaning what, ya akhwa? Meaning the Quran and the Sunnah. So you stop upon the Quran and the Sunnah. Because of the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. And do not follow that which you have no knowledge of. Surely, hearing, seeing, and the heart, all of these, or all of those, you are asked about. Imam ibn Uthaymeen says in the explanation of the book, he says, وَهَذَا صَحِيح. And this is correct. فَنَحْنُ لَا نُدْرِكُ مَا يَجِبُ لِلَّهِ تَعَالَى مِنَ الْأَسْمَاءِ. For we don't realize what is mandatory, obligatory for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the names. Therefore, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا أحصي ثناء عليك. I cannot attain يعني praise for you. يعني I cannot how to say this? يعني I cannot count it. I cannot limit it. You understand? Let's look at the translation of the hadith. Maybe we can have a better word. يعني I cannot limit it. يعني number it and limit it. You understand, يا أخوة? Let's look. Let's look at the translation of the hadith very quickly, inshallah. I cannot count your praises. Yes, something like this. I mean, similar to what I said. طيب, let's see another hadith. I cannot count your praises. طيب. I cannot count your praise. Okay, all the translated ones, they have this so far. I cannot enumerate your praises. Yes, I cannot count, I cannot enumerate your praises. Meaning, and you cannot limit them, okay? So the Messenger ﷺ said this, لا أحصي ثناء عليك. I cannot count, enumerate your praises. أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. You as you have praised yourself. This is the hadith. وَالتَّسْمِيَةُ بِالْأَسْمَاءِ مِنَ الثَّنَاءِ. And calling by the names is from praising, from the thana. For we cannot attain or reach, ندرك, ما يستحقه الله عز وجل. And we cannot reach, not attain. عفوا. We cannot reach. Cross, attain, out. We cannot reach what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves. فوجب علينا أن نتوقف فيما لم يرد به النص. So we must stop regarding that which we have no nas in regards to. We stop regarding that we don't have ayat or ahadith regarding it. طيب. What is the meaning وَلَا تَقْفُ? Sometimes you see translators when they're translating on during the durus, You see that there will be pauses when we come to the word taqfu. There will be pauses for the word taqfu. You see, the brain is working. How do we translate this and summarize it? Because al-taqfu from qafw al-athar, from tracking. You know when somebody leaves a trail and you track? This is called qafw al-athar. And la taqfu is from that. So Imam bin Uthaymeen now is going to explain this. He's going to say, لا تقف أي لا تتبع, meaning do not follow. مأخوذ من القفا. From the word قفا, يقال, it is said, قفاه يقفوه إذا جاء على أثره أو على إثره. Meaning, this word is used, meaning when somebody comes, يعني follows the trail. وَالْمُتَّبِعُ لَكَ يَمْشِي خَلْفَكَ فِي قَفَاكَ, and the one that follows you walks behind you in your قفا. ما, meaning everything. كل شيء. وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا, and do not follow everything. ما هنا اسم موصول يفيد العموم. وَلَا تَقْفُ ما ليس, meaning وَلَا تَقْفُ الذي ليس لك به علم. الذي, if we wanted to translate it, will be that which. طيب, and الأسماء الموصولة, as you know يا أخوة, من ألفاظ العموم. من ألفاظ العموم. اسم موصول يفيد العموم. Regarding that which is pertaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself and his attributes and his names and attributes, or that pertaining to the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that pertaining to people. So if somebody were to ask you, what do you say about so and so, and you have no knowledge, فالواجب عليك, what is mandatory upon you, is that you make tawaqquf. So you say, لا أدري, I do not know. Now when you come to the word taqfu, do not follow. Do not follow meaning what? That which you have no knowledge of. Yeah, don't follow it with everything, ya akhwan, and regarding everything as well. Do you understand now the meaning of the ayah? Regarding Allah, regarding Islam, regarding people, regarding things that you have no knowledge of. Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ada. Your heart, your hearing, your seeing, and your heart. All of this you'll be asked about. Like, you're responsible, even for your heart, ya akhwan. Of course, of your heart. Your aqeedah and what you believe, and rectifying your heart, and so on. والحاصل, and he says, Imam bin Uthaymeen, والحاصل, and briefly, that it is not permissible for us to name Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that which he did not name himself with, because we have no knowledge of this. إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد, the ayat. والسمع, and hearing, is for sounds. والبصر, and seeing, is for al-a'yan wal-af'al, that which can be seen, basically things and actions. والفؤاد للمعقولات, and the heart for that which you realize, which you recognize. All of these three adawat, the Shaykh said, tools, you are responsible for. فلا تسمع ما لم تسمع. Allahu Akbar. How beautiful is this? Do not make others hear what you did not hear. Don't tell others what you did not hear. ولا تري ما لم ترى, and do not show them what you didn't see. ولا تتخيل في قلبك ما ليس واقعا, and do not imagine in your heart that which is not realistic, that which is not a reality. You must stick to that you are responsible for your hearing, for your sight and your heart. Because a person might hear a word by which he establishes upon it that which he has no knowledge of, because of this word. And he might see something, and he establishes upon it that which he has no knowledge of. Or he might imagine something, and he makes a ruling by it, and he has no knowledge of this. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned al-hiss, your senses, and al-aql. Al-aql here meaning the heart, as well as your reason, ya akhwa, your feelings and so on. Al-hissu, in hearing and obeying. ذكر الحس في السمع والبصر. الحس يعني senses meaning hearing and seeing, and العقل في الفؤاد, and the reason in the heart. I know that you're thinking, but reason is in the brain and so on. This is what they use. The Muslim scholars and so on, they use this, ya ikhwan. They use this. They use that. They use that the heart. They use the fu'ad, and what they mean is the feelings, because the feelings are in the heart, and that which you understand, and emotions, as well as what you perceive and understand and so on. طيب. Imam bin Uthaymeen says, وَلَوْ أَنَّنَا, and if we were to commit by this divine guidance, by this divine teaching, we would have been saved from many evils. We'd be saved from many evils. And we would have relieved ourselves from many evils as well. However, most people, they build upon what they did not hear, that which cannot be built upon it, or upon that which he did not see, that which cannot be built upon it, that which it does not mean, that which is not based upon its meaning. This is what he means. Or upon what he has imagined, that which is not a reality. We have a sister that's saying, now we know the heart sends more signals to the brain than what I cannot see, vice versa. Naam. And actually they have I do not know, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, but I saw somebody talking about that there are certain cells in the heart that are about rationality and stuff like this, and I forgot Allah alam, but you can look it up, meaning that we can actually, yes, some of our wa'i, some of our consciousness and what we see and understand and so on, they found cells in the heart for that. I do not know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. This brings me to a benefit that I would like to share with you. Never sever your ties with the ulama and the mashayikh. And that being said, always attend the durus of the ulama and mashayikh. And with that being said, I find learning online to be absolutely beneficial. Actually, at our day and age, I would say it is something that is almost crucial to have. Ya akhwa, sometimes I would listen to the Shaykh and I'm writing down what the Shaykh has said. And then I rewind. And I hear it again and I have miswritten it. And I did not write it correctly. And sometimes, for example, I remember I attended the explanation of al-Haqqan at the masjid with the Sheikh Muhammad Hisham. I attended the explanation of the whole book. The Sheikh explained it in 6 months. al-Haqqan. I attended it. Years later, I wanted to take I wanted to refresh my mind with al-Ahkam and take some notes and so on. And I have my notes, by the way. So when I am revising, I see that I have written something that is wrong. And the ruling that I based upon it, actually the Sheikh didn't say it. I have miswritten. And this happens all the time. And I see it happening with many people as well. Yeah, sometimes even you go to the Sheikh and you say, but you said so and so. But this is no way of speaking to your Sheikh. You say, Ahsan Allahu ilaykum. I remember that you have mentioned, Hafizakumullah, so and so. And the Sheikh would say, I never mentioned such a thing. And if you go to the tasjeel, maybe the Sheikh has forgotten, which is no problem, he has forgotten, or that he actually did not say it as you have said it. And therefore he did not mean it as you have meant it. And you have based things upon it that are not correct in the first place. Wallahi, technology nowadays is extremely beneficial for a student of knowledge. extremely beneficial for a student of knowledge. So when you are listening to something, and especially if you are planning to explain something and writing it down and teaching it, then be thorough. Even if this takes time, no worries, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Cover as much as you can, but as accurate and as beneficial as you are able to. And as I said in the beginning, don't forget, don't sever your ties with the mashayikh. Then you say, khalas, I'm going to sit at home and study. La. Do go to the mashayikh and learn from them and the students of knowledge, the fudala. Go and learn. But that does not mean that you dismiss the internet. It's very, very beneficial for a student of knowledge. And then Imam bin Uthaymeen continues, كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا, meaning everything you will be, all of these you will be asked about. However, the fu'ad, يعني your inner self, thinks about things, as I told you, the heart, the fu'ad, the heart, they speak, يعني they use it as if they are saying your brain, so that you do not يعني mix up when you're reading a book. They use it as a, this is how the ulama use it. So the fu'ad sometimes thinks about something. However, it is not comfortable with it. لا يطمئن إليه. He's not at peace with it. Like waswas that happen. It harms you. However, if he wants the thing, then he's responsible for it. Then mas'uliyah, being responsible for it, does not mean that you will be punished for it. Does not mean that you will be punished for it. This is what the Shaykh said. And I would like to add, and maybe this is what the Shaykh is alluding to, that if you start desiring something with your heart, it might lead you to that which is haram, because you're desiring it so much so you start seeking it. Or if it happens to you, instead of shunning it and staying away from it and refusing it, you actually go and do it, whether it is something that is a major sin or a minor sin, any disobedience to Allah Azza wa Jal, because you are desiring it with your heart. So you are responsible for this desire that led you to this state. Also, Imam bin Uthaymeen gives us a benefit. Let's give you here. He mentioned in the explanation that sometimes when we have an ayah that has two meanings that are not contradicting, of course, and there isn't something that indicates that this meaning is what is meant, then we understand the ayah based on both of these meanings. Both of the meanings are included. And this is a qa'idah. This is a rule. طيب. وقوله in Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 33, قل إنما حرم ربي الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن والإثم والبغي بغير الحق وأن تشركوا بالله ما لم ينزل به سلطانا وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. This is in Surah Al-A'raf, ayah number 33, and the meaning of which, meaning the Prophet ﷺ, the things that my Rabb has indeed forbidden are al-fawahish. In parentheses, Al-Allama Taqiyuddin Hilali said, great evil sins. Every kind of unlawful sexual intercourse, etc. Whether committed openly, now the rest of the ayah, the explanation, whether committed openly or secretly. Sins, meaning of all kinds. Unrighteous oppression, joining partners with Allah for which He has given no authority, and saying things about Allah of which you have no knowledge. طيب. ما ظهر منها وما بطن, what is apparent and what is inwards, يعني that which is apparent to people, or that which is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also another meaning, يعني that which is evidently outrageous and evil, not hiddenly so. These are two meanings. Which one is the correct meaning, ya ikhwa? Let's go back to the qaida, the rule that Imam bin Uthaymeen taught us. There is no contradiction between them. That which is apparent to people and that which is apparently evil. And that which is hidden between you and Allah Azza wa Jalla, and that which it's evil is hidden. Stay away from all of these. So we have two meanings. They're not contradictory. So the ayah means both. And this is a qaida. طيب. طيب, I have a question for you. I want your answer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَن تُشْرِكُوا بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ سُلْطَانًا. That which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send يعني authority with, did not send down, there's no evidence for. What does that mean? Joining partners with Allah in that which He has. أيوة Shaykh Ali, أحسنت. اللهم بارك. اللهم بارك. Continue the answer, ya Shaykh Ali. Continue the answer. You already answered it, but I want more benefit, inshallah.
نعم أحسن الله إليكم. It's called the صفة كاشفة لا مفهوم لها, which is it shows the truth about something.
أحسنت. أحسنت. بارك الله فيك. اللهم بارك. نعم, this is how I want my students. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate their status. Ameen. This is صفة كاشفة لا مفهوم لها. This is an unveiling description. It shows you the truth of something. It has no mafhum. What does this mean? This is something I did not teach you. We're going to take a benefit today. What is the meaning of لا مفهوم لها? Does anyone know? طيب. Open your ears. This is a benefit, inshallah Azza wa Jal, that will make you study, that will make you understand this matter extremely well. صفة كاشفة لا مفهوم لها. مفهوم meaning understanding. Do you mean we don't understand it? لا. أي مفهوم المخالفة. There's no مفهوم المخالفة for it. Meaning لا مفهوم مخالفة لها. مخالفة لها. There's no مفهوم مخالفة for it. يعني meaning that if we say lying is haram, what is the opposite of that? Answer me. Lying is forbidden. What's the opposite of that? Truthfulness is obligatory. Truthfulness is obligatory. This is called mafhum al-mukhalafa. If someone tells you truthfulness is obligatory, by the opposite, by mafhum al-mukhalafa, lying is haram. Then this is called mafhum al-mukhalafa. I understood from the opposite of that lying is haram. Or I have understood from the opposite of that truthfulness is mandatory. طيب, now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَن تُشْرِكُوا بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ سُلْطَانًا. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram upon you to associate with Him that which He did not send evidence down with. طيب, what is mafhum al-mukhalafa? What is the understood from the opposite of that? That which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down evidence for to make shirk with, then make shirk in Allah Azza wa Jal. لا, هذه صفة كاشفة لا مفهوم لها. There is no مفهوم المخالفة here. This is an unveiling يعني description. It's telling you the truth of shirk. That's why it's called an unveiling sifa. Sifatun kashifa. It unveils the truth, the essence of this thing that is described, which is what? Shirk, disbelief. Meaning, do not وأن تشركوا, يعني it is haram that you join partners with Allah that is, you see the difference now. Do not associate partners with Allah. That is shirk. Shirk, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send down sultan for it, evidence, authority for it. Allah never sent down authority for shirk. This is sifa kashifa. You see how now it is a description for disbelief, for associating others with Allah. Do not do shirk with Allah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send down any authority or evidence for shirk. Do not make shirk with Allah, that is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send down any authority of. See how it becomes now. Now, do not make shirk with Allah, for shirk is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send down any authority with. We're describing it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing it now. Thinking that shirk, He did not send down any revelation, any authority, any evidence for it. There is no evidence for shirk with Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what shirk is. This is the description of shirk. إذن لا مفهوم لها, meaning there is no mafhum mukhalafa. No one can come and say, okay, then I can make shirk of that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought evidence for to make shirk with. We say there is no evidence, there is no authority that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down for you to make shirk with Him in. And there are more evidences for this. There are more examples of this in the Quran that we have already tackled. طيب. Remember this. الصفة الكاشفة لا مفهوم لها, أي مفهوم المخالفة. I remember I asked our Sheikh Muhammad Hisham. I said, Sheikh, لا مفهوم لها. What is the meaning of لا مفهوم لها? Does this only mean مفهوم المخالفة? He said, yes, this only means مفهوم المخالفة. نعم. طيب. And then Imam ibn Uthaymeen said بغير الحق هذا يسمى عند العلماء صفة كاشفة. طيب, I did not see that the Sheikh explained it. We already explained this, there's no need. And then طيب, he explained it briefly. He said فهي كالتعليل. It's like an explanation بما وصفت به, by that which is described as, and it is not a limitation, not a condition for it. طيب. And then the Shaykh has given an example of Surah Al-Baqarah. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم. He said, is this صفة قيد or صفة كاشفة? Is this a worship the يا أيها الناس, O people, اعبدوا ربكم, worship your Rabb, the one who created you and those before you. طيب, this is the ayah. طيب, the ayah that we have just read, there is وَالْبَغْيَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ, and to transgress, يعني unrighteous oppression. Unrighteous oppression. يعني oppression, transgression without righteousness. I ask you a question, ya ikhwa. Is there good oppression? Is there a good transgression and oppression? What is the answer? Adi says no, there isn't good oppression. All oppression is unrighteous, right? But everyone is saying no. But then what is the explanation of this ayah? What is the explanation of this ayah? Huh? Anyone knows? Do you want me to give you a hint? Inshallah. We haven't moved away. We are still on the same thing. We did not move to something else. وَالْإِثْمَ وَالْبَغْيَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. Unrighteous oppression. This is haram. أحسن. Pursue excellence. صفة كاشفة. It is the same. صفة كاشفة. Oppression is unrighteous and displeasing. So oppression is unrighteous. All oppression is unrighteous. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالْإِثْمَ وَالْبَغْيَ, and oppression, بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. Not, that doesn't mean that you can make oppression when it is with haqq. There is no oppression that is haqq. Oppression is all unrighteous. There is no righteous one. Therefore, this is صفة كاشفة لا مفهوم لها. You cannot understand something by its opposite. You cannot say, so I can transgress and oppress righteously. La, there is no righteous oppression and transgression. Meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing and showing us the hal, the condition. That baghi, oppression and transgression, all of it is what? Is unrighteous. So this is صفة كاشفة لا مفهوم لها. See how this unlocks for us how to understand the Quran? طيب. Imam ibn Uthaymeen said exactly this. In Arabic, he said, كل البغي بغير حق. He says, all oppression, all baghi is unrighteous. However, he has described it here to show their condition. And that every baghi, every oppression, transgression is unrighteous. وأن تشركوا ما لم ينزل به سلطانا, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden that you make ishraq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that which he did not send down any authority of. And every shirk you will never find authority for, you will never find evidence for. And this is the need for saying such a thing, to show that every shirk, every polytheism, every association with Allah, فلا دليل فيه, has no evidence in it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send down any dalil, any sultan for it. طيب. And you say regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that which you have no knowledge of. Imam ibn Uthaymeen says, what is meant here? Everything. So it is not permissible that you say regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, regarding the that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's which you have no knowledge of. And the same thing with his attributes and his rulings as well. So you say this is halal and this is haram, and you do not know. Or regarding his actions subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you say this action. Or regarding ولا في أفعاله. Or maybe regarding your actions as well, that you say that this action is wrong and doing so and so is right, and the likes of that. All of that is haram. And the evidence for this is the umum of saying ما لا تعلمون, and ما is اسم موصول, and الاسم الموصول في عموم, everything that you have no knowledge of, that which you have no knowledge of. طيب. I will let's summarize. Let's go to the matan. I'm looking at some of the benefits that we have here. Let's go to the matan. ولأن تسميته تعالى بما لم يسمي به نفسه, Imam ibn Uthaymeen said in the matan, and because naming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that which he did not name himself, or denying that which he has named himself subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a crime, a jinayah, regarding the rights of his rights subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it is mandatory to tread the path of adab, mannerisms, in that, and to have manners towards Allah Azza wa Jal and the rights of Allah. طيب. والاقتصار على ما جاء به النص, and to only اقتصار, how do we translate اقتصار? I have to explain it. Only believe and only say and only claim and follow and so on, that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in the nusus. طيب. Then Imam ibn Uthaymeen says, هل يجوز, is it permissible, أن نصف الله بوصف, to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a description, هو من فعله, which is from his action subhanahu wa ta'ala, without naming him by it? The answer, he says, Imam Uthaymeen, نعم, يجوز, yes, permissible. Because the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, babul awsafi, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yani in regards to the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are broader than regarding the names. فمثلا لنا أن نقول, for example, it is for us to say, it's permissible for us to say, إن الله متكلم, surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a speaker, and he speaks. From the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Musa truly. وَلَنَا أَن نَقول, and we can say, إِنَّهُ مُرِيدٌ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a wanter. Murid, يعني intender, wanter. من قوله, it's similar, murid, يعني he, when he, يعني إذا أراد, when he wants something, he say, كن فيكون, say, be and it is, right? ولكن الله يفعل ما يريد. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does whatever he wants, whatever he wills. So we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a willer, is a wanter, subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب. However, we don't claim that these are from his names. لا نسميه بالمريد ولا نسميه بالمتكلم, and we don't say he's the speaker, المتكلم, as a name, because he did not name himself with يعني as such. And ليس لنا, and it is not permissible for us to نصفه بصفة, to describe him with an attribute that contradicts his perfection, that contradicts Allah's perfection. كالماكر, like the makir, the plotter. والمستهزئ, the mocker. والمخادع, the deceiver. وما أشبه ذلك, and the likes of that. لا نسميه بهذا ولا نصفه به أيضا. We do not name him that, and we do not describe him with this as one of his attributes. We don't say, and this is a sifa of his, it's an attribute of him. لأن الله, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala لم يصف نفسه بهذه الأوصاف, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not describe himself with these attributes. So far so good, ya akhwa? So far so good? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does something. We can describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks. وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Allah is a speaker. Is this his name? No, because he did not call himself. Is this an attribute of his? Yes, it is. Where did you take it from? From his action, subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what he's teaching us. Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen. He's teaching us, we have taken it from his action. But what about the deceiver? He says, La, because it contradicts perfection, and Allah did not describe himself as though unconditionally. وإنما, he only mentioned it in an مقابلة من يفعلها, in response to the ones that do such things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ. The hypocrites, they want to deceive Allah, or they deceive Allah, يعني يخادعون, but they don't deceive Allah. وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُم, and he deceives them. He's the one who deceives them. مُقَابَلَةً, as an answer for them, as an outcome, as a the opposite of them, the punishment for them. طيب, وقال, and he said, وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهِ. They plot and Allah plots. مُقَابَلَةً, as a response to them, punishment to them. وقال إنهم يكيدون كيدا. يعني they plot and and so on. وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا, and I plot. مُقَابَلَةً, the same way. And he said, إِنَّمَا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ. Yani the meaning the hypocrites said. The hypocrites said, we are with you. When they go to their shayateen, they say, we are with you. We are only mocking the believers. And they are mocking the believers. Allahu yastahzi'u bihim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mocks them. Muqabalatan, in response, as punishment for them. وَهُوَ دَلِيلُ قُوَّةٍ, and this is evidence for strength of Allah Azza wa Jal, and that his plotting is greater than theirs. Shows you that the izzah, the quwwah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they plot, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala plots. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of plotters. So quwwah shows you that their makr, their plotting is nothing in response, in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this means that these are sifat, that these are attributes that are limited and are not unconditional. This is what is meant. I'm explaining, barakallahu fikum. Yani these are, so you have to put these limitations on them. So you say, what do you say? You don't say Allah makir. You say Allah yamkuru biman yamkuru bi'ibadihi salih. And you say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala plots against those who plot against his deen, his righteous people. Allah deceives those who deceive his righteous people, and so on, and so on. So this is the sifa with limitation and not unconditionally. This last part of today's lesson, concentrate on much. It will give you solutions for a lot of things that you might find problematic, and it will give you guidelines regarding the attributes, or the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The unconditional names and the limited names, and can I take attributes, I meant attributes. The unconditional attributes and the limited attributes, yani that limited attributes as in an attribute that you put it in the limitation, in the condition, let's say conditioned attributes. So that not someone thinks that there are attributes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is limited. La, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not limited. But there are conditions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set forth for plotting and so on. That they are against. Because this is perfection, ya akhwa. We add to what the Shaykh said, this is perfection. They plot against Islam and the righteous people, and Allah plots against them. For example, He lets them fall into their own plotting. They transgress more and they fall into their own, and this shows you what? This shows you perfection, justice, that their reward was from their own doing and from the same type of their plotting and of their evil. This is perfection. You understand, barakallahu fikum? So plotting against those who, this is perfection. But we don't say Allah is the deceiver, the plotter, the mocker, and unconditionally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mocks. La. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala plots, mocks, as a punishment for the mockers. This is perfection. You see how now it changed? This is their punishment. Not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the mocker, wal-'iyadhu billah, because this is imperfection. We cannot attribute imperfection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we say it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it in the Quran. And as the Messenger ﷺ said in the Sunnah, with the quyud, with the conditions that have been mentioned, in the context that they have been mentioned, and so on. As for perfection from the actions, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks, is He a speaker? Yes, He is. This is one of His attributes. This is utter perfection. Therefore, this is unconditional. So we can derive it from the actions of Allah Azza wa Jal. But as for something that is imperfection, no. We don't derive it and say this is an attribute unconditionally. No, we put it with the condition that it came with in the context. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. If there is a third lesson today, I will announce it inshaAllah Azza wa Jal.